2019
Ford Raptor.
Guys, I'm so excited. My name's A Reviews. This is, like I said, the 2019 Ford Raptor. Guys, I'm finally reviewing one of these big bad boys. And let me tell you, I think the truck's taller than me, and I'm absolutely tall. But we're gonna see why the Raptor is a popular pick among many Ford F-150 owners. So guys, the reason I am reviewing a Ford Raptor is because it was unanimously voted through Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all those. Literally, I only got one vote for the Wrangler Rubicon and got 0 votes for the Gladiator Rubicon and got like 25 of them for this thing. So guys, I'm reviewing it for you today. But once again, I'm going to give a very, very huge shout out to TriStar Ford for actually giving me the opportunity to review this thing. So guys, the Raptor only comes in one trim level, but it comes with 3 different packages. There's the 800A, which this one is, then the 801 and 802A packages, which the 802A is like over $9,000, and it gets you literally every single thing you can think of on this truck, like a twin panel moonroof, leather seats, literally everything. But since this is the 800A, it's missing out on some tech, but there's not a lot of features that this thing is missing. But anyway, let's go in depth with the Raptor because I'm absolutely excited about this thing because it's an absolute beast. So what about the competition for the Raptor? Well, it kind of is in between a segment where there's kind of off-road trucks that are either mid-size or full-size. I picked some competitors for you. This thing can mainly compete with the Ram Power Wagon and somewhat the Ram 1500 Rebel, but you also got competitors like the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2/Bison, as well as the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro and the Tundra TRD Pro, somewhat the Nissan Titan Pro 4X, but this thing kind of really stands in a segment in its own. It kind of splits the lines between that Chevrolet Colorado ZR2/Bison and the Ram Power Wagon. But definitely this thing is popular pick among many, many, many Ford F-150 truck enthusiasts. So we're gonna see why right now. So guys, not sure if the angle is gonna be very great, but you can see that the Raptor is definitely very, very mean looking up front. Here you got full LED headlights, high beam and low beam, an LED turn signal, which I find very nice, and that comes standard. Here you got this big, gigantic grille that has the big Ford emblem spelled out. There's also clearance lights here to signify that this thing is actually over 80 inches wide, guys. It's absolutely enormous. Down here, that's a steel bumper, guys. You also got tow hooks down here as well. There's no fog lights available for the Raptor. I think you can actually get some accessory, but the reason why is because they wanted to preserve some of the aerodynamics from the regular F-150, so they had to take this part out, but it also makes it look a lot cooler. Also, you got this metal skid plate down here that shields these the suspension and engine components for this thing, but you can definitely see that the tires are massive. Also, with this Raptor, it has the hood graphics package, which is like a $1,000 option, which I don't really think is worth the money, but I think it looks the best on this truck if you just option all the decal packages, but that's personal preference. Now for the 802A package, you get a surround view monitor, which adds a camera up here that you can also project down and see what's actually in front of you, so I think that's a very nice touch. This one doesn't have it, unfortunately, but I mean, this Raptor, it just looks so mean up front. But definitely, this thing is a beast when you go to look at the side, because I got to show you something. So guys, as you can see, this is the Super Crew variant of the F-150, which is actually the more popular pick among everybody because of how much back seat room it is, but that's going to be saved for the interior review. This thing is an absolute big, bulky thing. So like I said, this thing is available as a Super Cab and a Super Crew. Only bed option available, 5.5 foot. If you want a 6.5 foot, it's not going to come on the Raptor. So, length for this thing is a monstrous 231.9 inches. Its wheelbase stretches 146, while the front and rear tracks are 73.9 and 73.6 respectively. That's an absolute mean beast thing. Now tires, that's another thing that's a total beast on this thing. These are optional 17s. You can also get another 17 inch wheel, which actually I prefer the other wheels compared to this one, but this one is absolutely meaty as 315 millimeter tires wrapped in BF Goodrich all-terrains. Guys, 315 width tires. How big have you ever seen a tire in your life? I think that these are probably the widest tires I've ever seen in production. Also, Fox Racing shocks. That's one of the differences between the standard F-150, because you got 13 inches of suspension travel up front and 13.9 in the rear, which is why I parked it in this little kind of pothole so you guys can see the suspension there. But I mean, oh my goodness. This is also 6 inches wider than the stock F-150, and it all pretty much comes with the fenders because you got the much wider tires. Back here you also see it's got the bed graphics package as well. That's like $900. I'd definitely option that. But I mean, holy crap. This thing has also got the side step running boards, which I think is actually nice because this truck is really huge because it stands 78.5 inches tall. Also, for you guys that love off-roading with this thing, you'll be happy to know that it's got a 30.2 degree approach angle, 21.8 for the breakover, as well as 23 for the departure. Also, ground clearance is one of the best out of the whole entire automotive industry. I believe only second to the Power Wagon. 11 inches of ground clearance, guys. So you guys can literally just go completely bonkers with this thing and not have to worry about scraping up the bottom. Not that you don't have to worry about it, because it already comes standard with skid plates. But anyway, we got to go out back because there's some unique features back there. So guys, coming out back at this 2019 Raptor, you can see that this thing does not have the 802A package, so it doesn't get the blind spot sensor, unfortunately, which I think this thing would really need. But you can see it's still got LED taillights all around, LED turn signal on this side. You got these big, meaty dual exhaust tips, and they are absolutely huge. I can put pretty much my whole entire fist in there and go around about an inch or two. There's also tow hooks down here as well. You got backup sensors, which I think is very nice because this thing is a monster, like I said. This one also has the little piece here that is deleted, but also a nice touch is that they engraved the F-150 logo into the tailgate, which I think is pretty cool. I know that they did that with the 2018s and such, but I kind of find that a nice touch. There's also an integrated backup camera here and a big, gigantic Ford symbol. So, we got to talk about the capacities. Let's open the tailgate and find out. Oh, God. So, how much towing is in this thing for the Super Cab?
6,000.
What about Super Crew?
8,000.
So, payload for the Super Cab?
1,000.
What about Super Crew?
1,200.
Yep. So it can tow up to 8,000 pounds and haul up to 1,200 pounds, which I think is actually still pretty good considering that this thing has a ton of off-road gear. But since this thing is so big and it's got 11 inches of ground clearance, Ford needs to actually make this thing standard on the Raptor. It's got an assisted step here that you just push on this button and pull this out, let it fall, pull out this, and it will come up, pull it up, and then you can just grab onto this and pull it into here and just do this. It's a lot easier than the GMC's Multi-Pro tailgate, I believe that's what it's called, but it's just as easy to put in. Push this button, push this down, hit this button, it's numbered, pull that in, and do that. Just like that. Also, the Raptors do not come standard with a bed liner. That's one of the downfalls of this thing because honestly, I would really want to actually have a bed liner in this thing. But yeah, this thing does also miss the LED box lighting. I think you get that on either the 801A or 802A package, but honestly, I really do wish that Ford would have decided to put that in there. Now, watch your feet. There's something bad I gotta say about this, guys, because honestly, this shouldn't be happening. This thing should be dampened. Come on, Ford, you guys are not so cheap to do this on every other F-150, but I think that also 802A might get the remote tailgate, which I think is cool. But I also forgot to mention, I don't know if you guys can see it, there's clearance lights over here as well. But overall, this truck is still very capable despite all the off-road goodies. But now, it's finally time to go look in the interior, because that is the other easy way to tell if this thing is truly a Raptor or a stock F-150. Alrighty guys, so let's get into the interior. But first off, we're going to take a look at this key fob. It's a normal standard F-150 key fob. I do think it's a little bit of a different design compared to my dad's F-150. It's a switchblade. I think the 801A comes with push button start and intelligent key access. But funny enough, this thing comes with remote start. So all you got to do in order to remote start this thing, hit the lock button, wait for it to beep, hit the button twice, and it will turn on so quickly for you. And in order to turn it off, you just push that button again. Also, this has got the Ford Raptor insignia on the back of the key fob. This key fob feels very nice, despite, I have to say, this actually does feel a little bit more premium than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a little bit more plasticky. The switchblade mechanism is very smooth in operation, but let's go and try to open the door. Now, this Raptor, since it's the 800A package, it does not come with the body-colored door handles, which also means it does not come with the smart key access system, because this also doesn't have push-button start. But you can see here, you can also unlock and lock the door from this little key fob here. You can also hear that the tailgate unlocked. Opening the door, that is where you can really tell this thing is the Raptor. Now, let's get into this thing and definitely struggle with it. Getting in, there's a grab handle right here. You also got these running boards, which honestly I'm not a fan of because they're a little bit wide, and plus they'll probably get beat the heck up if you do off-roading. But jumping inside, this thing has a very, very, very high step-in height, which honestly I'm kind of a fan of. You also got the Ford Performance down there. Let me put the key fobs in here and shut the door. It sounds pretty good. It actually sounds a lot better than my dad's 2015 F-150. But once you get past the look of the steering wheel, we're going to start the truck up. So again, this does not come with push button start, so you have to put the key fob in and put your foot on the brake and start the engine. So there you get a little cluster in here that shows the Built Ford Tough. This is a 4.2 inch productivity screen. I think that the 802A package gets the 8-inch, I believe, productivity screen. That also includes digital gauges there. But going over the gauges, you can see that these are a lot different. You got analog gauges up here, as well as your various pressures and fuel level, and your turbo gauge, which is nice because this thing is now a V6, not a V8. Down through here, we're going to go through this very basically, very quickly. You got off-road status. You can go into your display mode. You can see your digital speedometer, engine information, distance to empty, your tire pressures, which actually those are pretty high numbers. You go into gauge mode, so your manifold charge temp, your trans oil temp. You can see your vacuum boost, so your for your turbocharger. You got your voltage for your battery, your trip fuel. You got auto start stop. You have your little modes here, which I think that should be actually staying up. You also got your trip meters, your fuel economy. Towing, you can put your trailer status in here. You can select your trailer sway control. You can add a trailer, which is nice. So you can name it something pretty funny. Okay, so now that we got that all hooked up, just press OK. You select your type of trailer hitch, just say that one. You can select your trailer, just click on this one. Change trailer settings, rename trailer, trailer distance, delete trailer, and do all that sorts of stuff. Because this thing does come with trailer sway control, and also with the Raptor, you can also option for the Pro Trailer Backup Assist, which actually is a little knob here that you just turn, and it will actually take the trailer and it will guide it in that direction you turn it. This one doesn't come with it. It comes on 802A only. You can see your connection checklist. You can go through and see if everything's hooked up. You got your off-road status, like I said, power distribution, so you can see whether this thing is in all-wheel drive or not. Raptor status, you can see all your Raptor gauges here. You can also see the steering angle as well. Let's go down to the off-road status. You can see your angle, your pitch, as well as, like I said, steering, and also whether or not you're in four-wheel drive or not. And you got your settings in here. This also comes with pre-collision assist with pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking. That became standard on 2019 models. But we're going to go back here. Let's look at the steering wheel because this thing is a meaty thing. It's leather wrapped, perforated up here. You got a little red strip up here. It's a normal Ford F-150 steering wheel, but you can see it's got the Raptor insignia down there. It's got some black plastic. Funny enough, these are actually metal paddle shifters. This is the only truck to get paddle shifters in the segment that controls the 10-speed automatic transmission. Now the steering feel, this thing is in sport mode. It is very communicative. Actually, I think that the steering's a lot better in this thing compared to the 2015 F-150. But now let's go through interior materials. Hard touch, all hard touch. There's some soft touch here. There's center console here that's soft touch. You got your air vents that look really huge. But definitely I wish that Ford would have put a couple of more soft touch materials in this thing. The door handles are kind of weird. They come out in this fashion. You got to pull on it to open it, which I think is very nice. The grab handle feels very strong. It doesn't even wiggle. Auto up down windows for only the front passengers only. The back ones don't, which I kind of expected that. You got power mirror controls. This one doesn't have the blind spot, so you got the blind spot supplemental mirror. These mirrors are absolutely huge, I gotta say. But they're definitely good for towing. Opening the door back up, you can see there's a door pocket in here that perfectly will fit a phone. You got some more storage down there. You got your speaker and your lock controls here. Here is your headlamp control. There's your bed light, auto headlights. Here's your electronic parking brake. I think this became standard on 2018s. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, so let's talk about the Raptor specific details. You have 6 different driving modes, 7 actually. You got slippery, tow haul mode, sport mode, normal, and then you have 3 different off-road use only modes. So you can go through deep snow and sand, which will automatically turn this thing into 4 high and actually lock the rear differential. You can go into Baja mode, that turns the traction control off, puts it in 4 high, and it automatically like firms up the suspension and all that stuff. Then you also have rock crawl, which will require you to shift into neutral, which I'm not going to do. So we're just going to go back to sport mode. You can also change the steering feel from sport, comfort, normal. In comfort, this thing turns literally like, it's literally like not even struggling. Like I'm barely even putting force on the steering wheel, which I find very cool. But I do like the steering feel in sport, so I do like that Ford allows you to customize that. The thumb grips up here are very bolstered, which is really nice. And honestly, the steering wheel is very comfortable. 802A, you get a heated steering wheel. This one doesn't come with it. Coming over here, here's your electronic four-wheel drive selector. This has both a class first, and it's pretty unique, both four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. I know that they're probably the same thing, but you can click over into 4 Auto, which will automatically turn the four-wheel drive system on and off when it needs to. You can also push this button to disconnect the rear axle. Coming over here, you have a 8-inch sync infotainment system. The stock stereo system in this thing sounds really good. I'm not sure if it's actually a upgraded one in the Raptor, but it does have a lot of bass to it. I actually think it's a little bit better than the Escape that I had, but then again, the Escape is literally many years old. But you can see it's got some basic buttons here. The touchscreen could be a little bit bigger, but I'm not going to complain too much because the Explorer's touchscreen looks really bad and very tacky, the 10.1. This one comes with single zone automatic climate control. I think that Ford should have actually just put the dual zone climate in this thing. But you can see here, you got your fan speed, you have all this here and such. The 802A, again, gives this thing dual zone climate as well as heated front seats. I think you can also get heated back seats as well. Here's your shifter. It is big and absolutely meaty. This controls your 10-speed automatic. I don't think you can actually get a column shifter on this thing, but here you got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and manual mode. You got your little selector gear here as well, which I find nice. That can also supplement with the paddle shifters, which are, I think, either real metal or they're magnesium. You have a little cover down here as well that slides open to reveal 2 USB ports as well as a cubby here. You also got a decent sized cubby over here, which I find surprising. It's also existent on the other side. You got this little cubby here that you can throw your phone in. You have really gigantic cup holders here for your drinks, so if you're drinking Monster, you can have some fun with that. You got some storage cubbies up here along with a speaker. Your frameless mirror, well, nearly frameless. You have a 12-volt here as well as your normal household outlet. There's some storage over here. Opening the glove box, it is damped, not lined with felt. There's a second little cubby there. It's pretty decent size, but I think it could be a little bit bigger. Opening the center console here, you guys are going to be surprised how freaking enormous this thing is. I'm literally opening the cover and just taking this tray out. You can probably fit at least 2 gallons of milk on its side in this thing. It is enormous. You also have another 12-volt port in here, and you also have little pen holders on the back here, which is very cool. Also interesting, this thing locks, so you can take the key fob out and lock it if there's something in there that you don't necessarily want people to see. So let's put that back in there. I like that this little kind of silver trim is here. You can also option for a carbon fiber package, which also makes this carbon fiber and makes a whole bunch of interior accents and such carbon fiber, like the shifter. So far the interior is very nice. It still feels like a truck, which obviously it is. One thing I forgot to do, passing the visor test, and it passes easily because I know Fords always do that. Coming up here, you got LED lights in here, your sunglass holder. I also find this kind of cool. You got 6 different auxiliary switches, so if you wanted to hook up LED roof lights, you can do that, which I find very nice. They're also an option, so that's also very cool. There's not really too much different in this interior. You have a little storage cubby down there I forgot to mention. But definitely the F-150 up here is very roomy. Oh, I forgot to mention, there's 6-way power seats here, 2-way power lumbar, but you also have manual recline. I think that the 802A might get the power seats for both front driver and passenger. It's manual seats on this side, but you also do have lumbar control, which I think is actually nice. I definitely agree that Ford definitely put lumbar control in the F-150 because it's always a nice thing to have. But I mean, this thing is absolutely crazy. So let's go ahead and jump into the back and let's go see why I would choose the Super Crew over the Super Cab. Okay guys, so like I said, this is the Super Crew variant, so it's got the gigantic back door. Definitely do not go with the Super Cab, guys, because the Super Cab has got no room in the back. But let's see how much room there is. Oh, okay, I don't know if you guys are seeing this very well. Look at how much room is there in the back. You could fit 2 people pretty much side by side. That's crazy. I mean, they're not exactly comfortable back there, but that tells you how much room the Super Crew has. You could probably fit a couple dead bodies in there. Get the heck out of here. But as you can see, these seats do fold upwards. And in order to put them down, you just pull on this little tug strap and do that, which I'm going to do on both sides. Which, funny enough, you can actually completely walk through here and not have a single problem. But sitting behind here, I'm going to pull this seat the whole way back. I am over 6 foot tall. I probably have maybe a ruler, almost a complete ruler of room back here. I still have plenty of leg room. and headroom as well. I also forgot to mention the head restraints are adjustable. They're a ratchet type. You got a center console here. Push on this and you get your cup holders. You also, ow, the seatbelt went in my rear. You got rear air vents here. You got mat pockets, 12-volt port here. You get 2 more USB ports. There's a total of 4. And you also get another household outlet, which is nice. LED lighting in the back. This one does not come with a power sliding rear window. The 802A is the only one to come with that. But like I said, the windows are auto, or not auto up down, but as you can see here, they do go down the whole way, so it gives you a very, very great view out. You still got the same door panel. There's a little tiny bit of storage in there, but there's not much. The actual armrest here is not really soft padded, but it has a more premium feeling material, so there's a little bit of a cost cutting there. The rest of the door panel is pretty much exactly the same as the fronts. Coat hooks here, another grab handle. There's not really too much to go on back here, but also if you need to, you can also pull this little leather strap here and fold this seat down to access your tire jacks and stuff, which I find cool. And then there's also a little button here, so if you need to fold the seat down and put something up top here to separate it from the bottom, you guys can do that. But definitely guys, get the Super Crew variant because it actually tows more and hauls more than the Super Cab variant, which I think is kind of unique because normally extended cabs actually have the bigger numbers. So now that we're done looking at the interior and we're done gazing over the second row, let's go ahead and let's go talk about the engine, because the engine in this thing is something that has been getting a lot of controversy, but there might be some good news coming. It because this thing is so damn tall. This is where the Raptor has the most controversy out of all the automotive world. If I can only find the hood prop. There it is. This thing's hydraulically assisted, so I definitely love that. I know you guys can't see it very well. This is a 3.5 liter twin turbocharged high output EcoBoost V6. For 2017 and 18, this was only reserved for the Raptor trim, but the limited model for 2019 had gotten this engine. This engine makes 450 horsepower and a whopping 510 pound-feet of torque. Goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission, which is actually tuned specifically for the Raptor, so it's different compared to the other 10 speeds in the Ford F-150 lineup. This thing will scoot to 60 in just over 5 seconds, guys. That is too quick for a damn truck. And might I mind you, even though this thing is all aluminum, this thing weighs around 5,700 pounds. So it's a decently heavy truck, but it's pretty good. It's not too heavy, because you definitely don't want to be like the old Raptor that was like definitely over 6,000 pounds, which was a total rock. But one thing that I do have to say that's been getting controversy is this engine. There's no V8 available for the Raptor. It's only this 3.5 liter twin turbo EcoBoost. But I've got some news on the horizon. I'm not exactly sure if you guys are gonna definitely like this, but Ford is thinking about putting the GT500 engine into this thing. I cannot believe that they are going to try to do that, because the Mustang GT350 has 760 horsepower, and that would be pretty much direct competition with the Ram Rebel TRX concept that will have the Hellcat engine in it, which honestly, I think if Ford's going to put it in the Raptor, they need to put up 800 horsepower, because I'm pretty dang sure they will put the Red-Eye engine in the TRX Rebel concept. That makes 797 horsepower, so Ford should have that up on the competition. Now, fuel economy, which is actually drastically improved over the previous generation. This thing gets 15 city, 18 highway, and 16, 17 combined. The only drive system is four-wheel drive or 4x4, but you also have that auto four-wheel drive and auto all-wheel drive system. But definitely this thing is a beast when it comes to performance. Also, if you're concerned about range in this thing, the Super Cab models have a 26-gallon fuel tank, where the Super Cruise have a 36-gallon fuel tank. So if you guys drive this thing on the highway, you can get well over 600 miles to the tank. Definitely, I would not have 600 miles on a tank if I was doing a big trip. It'd probably be more like 400, because I'd be very lead-footed and I'd want to hear the sound of this thing, because honestly, although it's not a V8, the sound is really great. And honestly, I do applaud Ford for actually switching to a twin-turbo V6, because it made this thing lighter, which means it's faster, better off-road, and it also can open up some more room for some better technology, as well as better cooling and everything, all of that. So now we got to get to safety, because actually the Raptor is really good with their safety. So let's talk about safety in the Ford Raptor. For 2019, Ford had actually made pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking standard on every single F-150. It was actually the first ever full-size truck to come with it standard, and it also earns a superior rating from IIHS for frontal collision prevention, because it avoided a 12 and 25 mile an hour test and completely avoided the collision. Now, I don't know if this thing does come with pedestrian detection, although I would think that they're probably not going to be alive after they get hit by this thing. Now, keep in mind, some of these only come on the 802A package. Automatic high beams, I think that only comes on the 802A, because I didn't see any options in there for it. You got a reverse sensing system, 360-degree camera with a split view display, which is optional. The 8-inch productivity screen, optional. Adaptive cruise control with stop and go, optional. Lane keeping system, a 360-degree camera with a split view display, which is optional. 802A gets you a front camera in there, so you can have the surround view. You also got adaptive cruise control with stop and go capability, which is nice. A lane keeping system. Also, Ford pioneers their power adjustable pedals, which is optional. And you can also have another option added to that to add memory to it. I think that only comes on 802A. You also got Pro Trailer Backup Assist. Also, you got rain sensing wipers, which is optional, and you got blind spot information system, which is also optional. So let's go ahead and let's drive this Raptor, guys. I'm definitely excited. So right now I have this thing in 4 auto, because this thing is sliding up the hill. Don't want to go into manual mode. And so far, this thing had just literally climbed up, no problem. So the 4-wheel drive system in this thing is really great. Now I'm gonna turn around up here. And we're gonna see how the Raptor's 4-wheel drive does. Spinning the tires just a little bit. So far it seems to be doing okay. It did pretty okay. There was only a little bit of slippage of the tires. I also forgot to mention, there's actually driving modes here. The 3 that I was talking to you about with the trail use only, that's the terrain management system. Also, I just turned on the camera delay. Also, there's trail control, so I can push this button here and set the cruise control to a varying speed between 1 and 20 miles per hour. I'm going to turn it all the way down to 1, and you can see it's going to slow me down to 1 miles per hour. But I'm going to click it up once. Actually, I'm going to click it up a couple times. And we're going to see how this truck does. So I got cruise set at 2. I'm not touching the gas. I'm not touching the brake. We're going to go dip down in this pothole. This thing is actually really smooth with the brake. I'm really surprised that it didn't actually, you know. But also, look at this. This thing is still going 2 miles per hour, and I'm not touching anything. As you can see, it speeds up, but I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to put this thing into sport mode. We're going to turn traction control off. Put this thing into manual mode, which actually turned the truck back on. Here we go. Oh, and that was already at 36 miles an hour, guys. This thing is quick. God, this thing can't keep the traction. I'm just gonna floor it. Oh my goodness, that's ripping the 315s in this thing. But we're gonna go back to normal. I'm gonna put it back in drive and just kind of cruise around. The transmission's very responsive. Oh.
Jesus Christ.
I gotta tell you what, this truck definitely defies what it is to be fast. And a big off-road truck. I would have no issue taking this thing off-road and having so much fun with it. I gotta say, the steering, although it's electrically assisted, and yes, it's a truck. Let's actually go over this pothole, which it somehow missed. Let's actually see the turning radius of this thing because I'm really curious about it. It's actually moderately tight. It's not too bad. But I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna play the pothole game. See how this thing rides over it. It's like nothing.
I didn't even feel it.
This thing literally rides over any of the imperfections in the road. And although you do kind of feel it, it does not exactly, you know, really do too much as far as letting some imperfections into the road. But this thing, it does feel wide. It feels big, but I gotta say, okay, that was a little bit rough. So let's go down through here again. Man, the sound of these paddle shifters. I love the sound of them. They're performance worthy. Let's try this again. So even in 4 high, this thing actually cannot hook up the tires. That's weird. There is a bit of traction slip. I know. Oh my goodness, this thing's fast. But let me tell you, this thing, even though it's 6 inches wider than the F-150, this thing feels just as every bit nimble as many of these other cars in the segment. Yeah, the transmission can be a little bit jerky at times. I'm gonna say that right now. Interesting things that I'm gonna mention here is I wonder if Ford will ever put air suspension in this thing. I know that that comes on the Rams. I think it comes on the Rebel, I believe. I'm not sure if it gets just upgraded steel shocks, but I kind of would like to see what air suspension does with this thing because honestly, it would be cool to see that. Because I think this thing would ride like literal clouds off-road and such, and literally make it seem like this thing's literally just waiting for that moment where you go off-road. I really, really love this thing. It is incredible to drive. Ford, you may have just pretty much sold me a truck. So guys, what's my final thoughts on the Raptor? Well, this thing is a mean-ass brute. And let me tell you what, this thing will kick ass. So if I had to say, buy it, rent it, lease it, forget it, just send it. I'm gonna go gain squad on this thing and just say, just send it. Because this thing is an absolute brute. And surprisingly, this thing is filled with pretty good technology, although that this only comes with cloth seats, comes with a special type. But anyway, this thing's got the looks, the performance, the suspension, the interior, every single thing. And this one, stickers for $62,000, where you can get an 802A package and come close to touching $75,000. It's worth the money, guys. This thing is a brute to drive. It is fast. It's comfortable still, despite it being an off-roader with Fox shocks. So guys, just go ahead and straight up freaking just send it and buy the Raptor. So I can't be any more impressed with this truck. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Make sure you subscribe as well and ring the notification bell, because if you do that, you're joining me in following the automotive industry a single revolution at a time. Make sure you guys also go down and check my website. I had just redesigned it completely and put my new logos on there. Thank you guys for watching, and beast out. Oh.
Jesus.
I gotta tell you what, this truck definitely defies what it is to be fast and a big off-road truck.